there, I'm Pastor Molly, and you are watching Z Kids Online.
Hey Pre-Z kids, are you ready for this month's memory verse? Power clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Power clap. God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Today's true Bible story begins with a king named Nebuchadnezzar. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar thought he was the best king there ever was, and he wanted everyone to know it. One day, he had an idea of how he would let everyone know that he was the best. He told his workers to make a giant golden statue for everyone to bow down to and to worship. And when I say giant, I mean giant. After King Nebuchadnezzar had made the statue, he told all the people in the kingdom that every time they hear a special music play, he wanted everyone to bow down to the statue. Special music. I wonder what it would have sounded like. Maybe you can help me with the special music. All you have to do is pretend your hands are a trumpet like this and go do 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 do. Whenever I say the word music, play your trumpet like this. Let's practice together. Get your trumpets ready. Music. Do 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 do. Perfect. All right. Trumpets down. Now listen for when I say the word music and be ready to play your trumpets. So the king told everyone that every time the music played, he wanted everyone to bow down to the statue. Then the king told everyone if they didn't bow down to this statue when they heard the special music, he would throw them into the fire. Whoa, fire? This king was serious. Each day, the music played and everyone in the crowd bowed down. One day, when the music played, some of the king's helpers saw 3 men not bowing to the statue. This made the king very mad. The men's names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men loved God and wanted to obey him. You see, God had told his people to never bow down to anyone or anything but him. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego obeyed God and did what he said, and they did not bow down to the statue. When King Nebuchadnezzar heard this, he was so mad that he had Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego thrown into the fire. If I were them, I would be so afraid. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego weren't afraid at all. They knew that God was with them and that no matter what happens, God's got it. After the king had Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego thrown into the fire, something amazing happened. When the king and his helpers looked into the fire, they saw 4 men walking around, and one of them looked like an angel. The king told Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to come out of the fire, and they did. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked right out of the fire, and they weren't hurt at all. God was with them and saved them from the fire. From that day on, the king only prayed to the one true God. What an incredible story. Bible stories like this help us remember that no matter what happens, God's got it. So when I ask you, who's got it? I want you to say, God's got it. Ready? So who's got it? God's got it. One more time. Who's got it? God's got it.
Hey Z Kids, are you ready for this month's memory verse? Power clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Power clap. Anyone who lives without blame walks safely. But anyone who
Takes a crooked path.
gets caught. Proverbs 10:9. Hi everyone, I'm so glad you're watching Z Kids Wednesday Night Online. My name is Miss Kate, and this month we're talking about integrity. Integrity is choosing to be truthful in whatever you say and do. Integrity is more than just telling the truth. It's being truthful in every part of your life. You don't go around pretending to be something all the time, like you might pretend to be a giraffe or a princess in a castle. You just act like yourself. You follow God and you live His way, whether you're at home, school, church, or anywhere. I've got a great story for you from the Bible that shows us what integrity is all about. Remember, integrity is choosing to be truthful in whatever you say and do. Are you ready for this week's Bible in 5? Let's go! Over 2,000 years ago, there was a king in a country of Babylon, and his name was King Nebuchadnezzar. That's a mouthful. Can you say it with me? King Nebuchadnezzar. King like head honcho, Neba like nebula in space, Ken like Barbie, Ezer like buzzer. King Nebuchadnezzar. King Nebuchadnezzar conquered the land of Judah, which was where God's people lived. I'm going to show you my best I just conquered the land of Judah face. The king wanted to make sure that God's people wouldn't fight back against him. So he gave an order to Ashpenaz, who was the chief of his court officials. Ashpenaz. The king told me, Ashpenaz, to find young men who are smart and strong to serve in the palace. I chose several strong men, including this guy named Daniel and his 3 friends. They were from a place called like Judah or whatever. Ashpenaz brought Daniel and his friends to Babylon. You're coming with me! Ashpenaz was supposed to teach them the language and the writings used in Babylon. You see, the king wanted Daniel and his friends to become more like the Babylonians. Daniel and his friends were supposed to be trained for 3 years, and then they could serve the king. Ashpenaz gave them new names. Daniel was Belteshazzar, and the other 3 were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Hi, I'm Daniel. Well, I guess Belteshazzar now. And my friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and to bed we go. Abednego. Ugh. The king told his servants to give the men the food from his own table. Now, this food was different from the food that Jewish people ate in order to honor God. Now, we don't really know exactly what kind of foods that would have been on the king's table, but let's say it was candy to help us understand. Daniel and his friends knew they weren't supposed to eat all the candy that the king had offered them. They had asked Ashpenaz for permission to not eat the king's food. Can we, not eat that? No way, brose. He figured if Daniel and his friends didn't eat, they would get weak. He was afraid of what the king might do if Daniel and his friends looked worse than the other young men who were there in training. So Daniel spoke to one of the guards in charge of them. He asked them to give them only vegetables and water for 10 days. The guard agreed. After 10 days passed, Daniel and his friends looked healthy and well-fed. Wow, look how strong I am. Yeah, pretty great. These 4 guys actually looked better than any of the other young men there that had been eating the king's food, the candy. So the guard said it was fine for them to keep eating the veggies instead of what the king had given them. And that's not all that happened. God gave knowledge and understanding to these 4 young men, so they understood all kinds of writings and subjects. And Daniel, he could understand all kinds of visions and dreams. At the end of their training, Daniel and his friends were brought before the king. The king was shocked. He couldn't find anyone as strong and as smart as they were.
Wow, you guys are like the best of the best. Who knew?
Daniel and his friends eventually became the king's most trusted advisors. But even though they served the king of Babylon, they never stopped standing strong for the one true God in everything they said and did. Daniel and his friends knew what was most important. They knew they could trust God no matter what. They had the integrity to stay truthful to what they knew God wanted them to do, even though they were in a land that wasn't their own. We can choose to live with integrity too. We know that we can trust God no matter what, so we can choose to be truthful in every part of our lives. We can live the way God wants us to live, no matter what kind of situations we might face.
Thanks for watching. To stay up to date, you can like, subscribe, or ring the notification bell.